This is Dr. Jack Barnathan, and I'm with my good friend, Geraldo Mercado. Geraldo, it's so good to be with you today, pal.
Good to be back. Doing
Uh,
this on a regular now.
Outstanding. I know. We got us a show going. We were just talking about, and this is a word that I don't think people first glance might associate with either of our styles. Subtle. And we're calling uh
Blood force trauma is more like it, but okay.
blunt force trauma. Yeah, we Geraldo just said, Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi from uh
Right.
the Karate Kid, right? And how his subtle, and you didn't, Daniel and the audience, we were all there with him, didn't understand that wax on, wax off. He was teaching, he was building that foundation, and those stories that come from stories that are 1,000 years old. And some of the best teachers, Geraldo, is just, we were just talking about this. Geraldo, just share a little bit your thoughts on how this can be the most powerful way for us to teach also and to learn.
Well, it's the conversation that we were having earlier. My whole thing is coming in as the authoritative person tends to turn people off. Um, I'm going to come in and say, I'm going to tell you how to get this done. Dude, I'm not going to listen to you. And I get that a lot. Um, the there's a lot of references that I had used before and when we were mentioning, but one of the key things that I've learned is you're talking to a person, not at a person. When you're talking to them and you're communicating with them directly, now they feel that rapport, they feel that connection, whether it's a Zoom call, telephone call, or they're sitting sitting across the table. Talk to them like they're in the room with you. And that's one of the bigger things that I had learned in that process. But the other thing that we were talking about in reference to the Miyagi part is you're giving them drills and exercises that they can solve on their own without realizing that they're actually doing it. The example that I had used was, when we were doing the endurance program with the hurricane heat, 40 of us got to pick up 5-gallon buckets and throw water on our instructors. And as a group, we were moving as fast as we possibly could. But then when the exercise was to carry those 5-gallon buckets, across a field, it was the same 5-gallon buckets. It was the same distance. The dynamic of making it fun, the dynamic of changing the purpose of the mission changed what you were feeling about it at that point. So whenever we're having a particular lesson now, the lesson is, how do you make the lesson fun? How do you make the lesson manageable? How do you make the lesson on a communicative level where they're going to be like, oh, this is cool. I get this. But while you're doing all that, they're actually learning on the back end without even realizing that they are doing the wax on, wax off aspect. Um, just by making it fun, just by giving them the aspect of, you can do this if you do this. The conversation that we had previously, when I was an instructor at Fashion Institute, I will never disqualify a student for getting to the same result by taking a different path. My path is the path that I'm going to teach on an overall level, so that you would have a source and guidance and some sort of walkthrough baseline. There's in Photoshop or any other program, there are 25 ways to get to the same end result. So just because you didn't do it my way, and it doesn't necessarily mean my way is the most effective way. What my way is would be a baseline standard that you would use as a practice. You would be able to then take that from it and go, well, what if we did this? Or what if we cheated this? Or what if we moved this around? Or what if I pull the contrast on this and then pull the color on this? If I get the same results from a different path, that's great, because now you're putting your flavor into it. Now you're putting your character into it. You're putting your approach or spin into it, still getting to the same result, but now there's ownership to it because you did it your way. And I think letting people feel like they have that ownership towards that project, towards that aspect, towards that finish line or that end game makes the difference. And that's basically the whole purpose of teaching that particular lesson or any type of lesson. I will give you an end result. Show me how you got there.
And as Mr. Miyagi would say, hi.
I
Indeed. Geraldo Mercado, make him your friend. Follow, get in the conversation with this teacher and inspiration.